What's going on, Azle, Texas? Welcome to episode 56 of season 4 of Talking Throws podcast, Texas style. I'm Coach Jason.
And I'm Coach Janelle.
And we are throwing coaches with the track club, the Throwing Factory. You can go check out the throwingfactory.com for our information. Guys, we are looking for throwers. We are doing lessons. We're doing online lessons. If you want to inquire about that, go to the throwingfactory.com. You'll find my contact information there, Coach Janelle's. But also to remind everybody that we have 2 other clubs, west at the Throwing Factory and east at the Throwing Factory. And they're led by Coach Kai and Coach Jarvis. So if you're in those areas and are interested in maybe doing a one-on-one lesson or maybe a FaceTime lesson with those guys, please reach out to them on the throwingfactory.com website. Also remind everybody too about our apparel page. We got these cool new shirts out, a podcast shirt, hats, sweatshirts, warm-up suits, anything you need to look cool at a track meet. Go to throwingfactory.com and hit the shopping page, and we'll be able to take care of you on that. Then also to remind everybody too about our YouTube channel. Search Talking Throws Podcast Texas Style on YouTube. Subscribe to it, download it, give us a thumbs up. If you like, that's cool. If you don't like, thumbs down. You know, we're open to criticism around here. So then also too, we got to thank our sponsors for season 4. Without those guys, we can't do what we do. We want to thank Texas Track and Field Coach Association. That website is ttfca.org. That's Stuart Cantor's running that. If you want to know anything in news about Texas Track and Field, that's the site to go to. I know he's got this winter clinic coming up 7th and 8th. He's got some cool speakers and people coming in from out of state to possibly do that. But then also too, just looking at the calendar for getting in for 2022, you have like fast track collegiate opener for at University of Houston. That will be the December 3rd and 4th. That's fast track youth high school master open. You have on January the 8th, you have the fast track collegiate open invitational at University of Houston. And then February the 20th, I believe, you have the Coach O Youth Indoor Championships, which will be at the University of Houston. And there's other meets listed there. Even some outdoor meets are already listed. So go to ttfc.org and check out the site. Our favorite implement company, 4 Throws, quality implements priced right now on their site. If you're looking for a training iron shot put, they have one for $18.69. If you're looking for a training javelin, they have a steel tip yellow, black, and white for $98.99. Go to 4throws.com, use the code TALKINGTHROWS20 to get 20% off. If you're looking for a discus, shot put, hammer, weight, anything like that, even throwing equipment, netting, measuring sticks, whatever you need, you can go to 4throws.com. Portacircle.com. Porta-circle.com, making throwing more accessible. Go to porta-circle.com, use the code TalkingThrows10. Winter's coming, starting to get cold outside. I know we've had some snow already hit the U.S. If you're looking to go indoors, on your basketball gym or in the hallway or underneath your stadium or in your driveway, the Porta-Circle is very easy to put up to get those extra reps. So go to porta-circle.com and use the code TalkingThrows20. Our favorite athletic development, Ready Up Athletic Development, ran by Zach Phillips, 512-507-8347. He is out of the greater Austin area. You can check him out at readyupad.com and follow him on Instagram and Facebook at Ready Up. But then our new sponsor for this year for season 4, Fiber Sports Discus. Welcome to a new way to get distance. Fiber Sports Discus is taking the guesswork out of a discus selection. Here's what it looks like.
Ta-da.
There we go. I could never get it right. So this is a 1.6, so go check that out. You can contact Bruce Caldwell at 817-819-1479 or go to his website, fibersportdiscus.com. To get more information about the new Fiber Sports Discus. On today's episode is probably considered one of the greatest throwers all time to ever come out of Texas high school track and field. In 2012, she was a Gatorade National Track and Field Athlete of the Year. Also in 2012, she was Track and Field News High School Athlete of the Year. She is the National record holder in the discus in high school with a mark of 198.9 1/4. Also, just a few weeks after graduating in 2012, she placed 4th at the U.S. Olympic trials. In 2014, she placed 3rd in the discus at the U.S. Outdoor Track and Field Championships. She was also a 2-time national champion while throwing at Texas A&M University, and also an SEC record holder in the discus out of Texas A&M. In 2016, she placed 2nd in the discus at the U.S. Olympic trials to qualify for the 2016 Summer Olympic Games in Rio. And she's currently an owner of Blessing Bites. She's living in Azle, Texas. She's currently a mom, and she's married, and she's also coaching club volleyball. Please welcome to the show, to episode 56, Shelbi Vaughn-Walley. We're so grateful to have her on. Hello. Can you hear us?
Maybe.
Oh,
there we go.
There we go. How are you?
I'm good. How are y'all?
We're great. So glad to have you on.
Absolutely.
It's an honor, and I will admit you're like a big fish in our little pond, and so I know I'm on season 4. I just want to set the record straight. I didn't have the nerve the first 2 or 3 seasons to offer this up to you because I didn't want to face the rejection. So I was hoping that we would be good enough and worthy to get you on. So I felt bold 2 weeks ago. So. All right, I think we're ready to go then.
Yeah, awesome. All right, Shelbi, I had the honor of watching you throw a lot in high school since my daughter, I tell them I wasn't going to talk much about them, but it was at Mansfield High. So we are so excited to have you on. Yeah. So tell us, how did you get started throwing? When did you first start throwing?
I got started in throwing in 7th grade. I was actually a sprinter, believe it or not. And the throws coach noticed me and said that I needed to throw, and I fought her with it for a while. I was like, no, I'm too fast to throw.
Okay.
And so I tried it out, and just so happened I was good at it. Who knew speed translates over to throwing back then when you're in 7th grade. So pretty much she started me in it, and it kind of just went from there. Started breaking pretty much all the records at the schools, and moved up to high school and broke those records too. So I thought I might be a little bit good at it.
What was this coach's name? Do you remember?
Oh yeah, she is my favorite person. Her name's Teresa Moore, and her name in my phone is the greatest coach ever, because if it weren't for her, I wouldn't have accomplished all the things I have. So
now, did she have a background in throwing?
She threw in high school, and she was pretty decent high school thrower.
Okay.
And I don't really know if she threw after high school.
Okay. Gotcha. Now you went to junior high in Azle, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So, and were you describe us your technique? Were you just kind of stand throwing in the front in 7th and 8th grade? Was she, coached you to maybe even do like a half turn? What was your technique like?
Yeah. No, she coached the whole spin. She taught me the whole spin really? Pretty quick. Yeah. Yeah, she's very knowledgeable for a junior high coach. You don't find those much anymore.
Wow.
So you never had to do the shuffle, wind up 20 times, spin in a circle, and
no. Wow. I think I did the wind a few times out of the back, but that got fixed pretty quick.
I got you. Did you even do you remember your first meet in the 7th grade? Did you even have throwing shoes, or did you wear tennis shoes?
I had basketball shoes, and they're actually on display at the school.
Are they really?
They are.
Oh wow. Were they the Chuck Taylors? Were they Converse?
Oh no, they were probably from some Goodwill or something. They were, nothing fancy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So early on, you had an attribute of really picking this up. Was it something because your family, you came from an athletic background? Was your mom and dad, did they throw? Were they great athletes in high school?
Yeah, so nobody's ever thrown before, but we're definitely all pretty athletic. Okay. I say just in general, athletic people. my mom was athlete. She made varsity in high school and stuff. And my goal was to always be better than her as an athlete.
Okay.
And I tell her that all the time. I'm like, I always want to be better than you, because she always kind of bragged about herself. And so I wanted to be better than that. And that's one of my first goals I ever set when I was younger, was to make varsity and be a better athlete than my mom.
Awesome.
Well, I think you accomplished that.
I think so too, but we won't tell her that.
No, don't tell her.
So besides track and field, did you do any other sports, in junior high to kind of catapult your career?
Yeah. So, growing up, I've done pretty much every sport there is. Other than golf and soccer, I think those are maybe the only two I haven't, other than the new stuff that's come around over the years.
Yeah.
But I football, basketball, cheerleading, baseball, softball, dirt bikes.
Oh, really?
Kind of volleyball. Yeah, kind of a lot of things.
Oh, wow. So you're kind of a little daredevil.
A little bit. I also had 2 older brothers I had to keep up with.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So did you ride dirt bikes just for fun, or were you like competitive racing?
Well, actually, I used to just ride for fun, but up until about 5 years ago, I actually started competing in it. I do cross country.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, that's fun.
Do you feel like being a multi-sport athlete, kind of, this is very broad because we're going to get into your high school years, helped you, your career, being able to adapt to different situations and different competitive environments?
Yeah, I absolutely think that being a dual sport athlete, whether it's basketball and track or any 2 sports, that are definitely going to help each other one way or another. Gotcha. And I think for me, the speed and, the ability to be able to jump in volleyball translated so much over to throwing.
Oh, wow.
And then obviously the strength really helped in volleyball as well.
Yeah, of course. Now, I heard a rumor that you had a nickname, and you might have been, I don't know the time frame, but they called you the Hammer. Is that right?
They did, yeah.
Well, how did that come about? And at first, did you like it?
Yeah, I actually really liked it. The guys at the school, they all came and watched the volleyball games, and every time I'd get a kill, they would just start shouting Hammer. And then eventually it got so popular that they were bringing like blow up hammers and stuff to the games and stuff. And they would like do the hammer motion.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
That is pretty cool. That is cool. So you get into your freshman year, and I think you go to state your freshman at Azle High School. Did Coach Moore coach you from 8th grade to that freshman year, or did you have a new coach when you went to Azle High?
I have a new coach. I still work with her a little bit.
Okay.
Just because she was so knowledgeable in it.
Yeah.
But I had a high school coach, and then I do believe that's when I met Laura McClellan. She saw me at a volleyball tournament, and my mom was sitting behind her, and she mentioned something about me and asking if I threw, and my mom was behind her, and she's like, actually, that's my daughter, and yes, she does throw. And then
oh, wow.
She said, well, if you want to win state, let me know. Knowing nothing about me, how far I've thrown or anything. She just said, if you want to win state, let me know. So we called her up the next year.
Really? So tell us a little bit what her background is.
Laura threw in college. My memory is terrible.
That's okay.
College, but she did throw in college, and she's been coaching for a while. She's a great coach. She helped me a lot after my freshman year.
Wow.
Yeah, she's really great. And I think the best thing about Laura was knowing when she couldn't help me anymore. So she got me to a certain point, and then she kind of was like, well, I don't know what else. So we are going to find somebody else. So she was still a part of my journey throughout everything, but wow. She knew that she was like, well, as far as I'm concerned, you look great. And so she wanted to help me find someone else to get me to that next level.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's big for a coach to be willing to give up, or not give up, but to share and say, hey, I've reached what I know. Let's get some help. That's awesome.
How was it your freshman year, and kind of you're put in this situation and you're a freshman and all of a sudden you're throwing really farther and beating and winning all these meets and you're a multi-sport athlete. You started getting the spotlight on you. How at 14, 15-year-olds do you think you handled that?
I've always been a pretty laid back athlete. Still to this day, like it's hard. Like I can go throw a world record tomorrow and probably barely get like any kind of reaction from it because it's still unbelievable, honestly. Anything that I've accomplished still to this day, I'm like, no, that was just a dream. But yeah, as a freshman, it was pretty hard. I kind of set myself apart from everybody and it kind of felt like no one wanted to talk to me because of that. But then once I started to open up because they scared me. The older girls scared me. They were all older. But then when I started to open up, I really started to get some really good relationships.
That's good. That's good. So you go to into your sophomore year, and you're still at Azle, and then you make it to state, and I think you throw like 44.3 and 144, which are huge marks for a sophomore. What was that experience like going to the state meet in Austin? And then I think also too, you made it to Texas relays. That had to be amazing.
Yeah, those meets are great. There's nothing like the Texas state meet or Texas relays. They're crazy. I think I actually won state by like a centimeter or two that year.
Oh, really?
It was pretty close. Yeah, we were battling back and forth and we both kept inching out like maybe an inch or something. It was pretty close. It was 144 or something. And then second place was 144 or something. I can't remember.
Oh, wow.
But
I had to ask you, all the accomplishments, and that was your sophomore year. Do you still have that gold medal?
Oh, I have all of them. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Who does your mother have them?
She has some of them, and I have some as well. I have, like your district meets and stuff, and then she the nicer state medals.
She gets the real gold ones. Now, were you still working with Laura during your sophomore year?
Yeah. I actually think I worked with Laura my sophomore year and junior year because junior year I was going to Mansfield. And so I still worked with Laura then, but my high school coach in Mansfield was very knowledgeable as well in the throws.
Who was that?
Ed Berry.
Ed Berry. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ed Berry.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think he threw in high school, maybe even a little bit of college, a small college, but he had been coaching it for a while. So, a lot of coaches have never thrown it, and they still know a lot about it. So,
yeah. So from your sophomore to your junior year, when you went to came to Mansfield Legacy, you started seeing 20 feet increment jumps, in your throwing. Can you kind of walk us through, was it a technical cue that you worked on with Laura, or was it something that you were just naturally innate to do to be able to advance so far being so young?
Yeah. So, my finish has always been super natural. So over the years and even still now, I mainly focus out of the back. And that's really what we would do too. And, I was thinking about this interview before. I'm like, I hope he doesn't ask a lot of technical questions because I've never been.
Will.
I know. I'm a huge technical thrower. It's natural ability and I'm blessed, but it's hard for me sometimes, like, especially for myself, because it is, such a higher level. When I see the high schoolers and I'm coaching, I can coach it because it's usually things that I've gone through, so I can understand it. But then now it's like I haven't really been to the next level to really understand what I need, which is why I still have a coach,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always been mainly out of the back issues, balance and stuff. Yeah. Because once I get to the end and my finish, it's all pretty natural.
Would you say you were more of a rhythm and maybe a little bit of timing? You always seem to be very fluid, even when I've seen early stuff on YouTube to what you did in the Olympics, you seem very fluid in your movements. Would you describe yourself as being fluid?
I think so. Yeah. And usually I can tell when I'm off and I know it's going to be a bad throw just by a little bit of off timing and stuff. I'm not really, oh, my arm was there kind of person. It's more of, oh, I got
Yeah.
off.
Gotcha. So you
I'm gonna ask.
go ahead. I'm
So
sorry.
in that, when he said, you gained so much distance, were you lifting weights? Were you in the weight room a little more? Did any of that have anything to do with those improvements in your distances?
No, I just think I was just, developing more and getting to really understand my body. I didn't really get into the weight room until about probably my senior year.
Really?
Oh wow.
I mean, I did a little bit of weights here and there, but I never did anything heavy. I've always been naturally strong.
Oh,
N-
nice.
And now I know, because I know, your Wikipedia page gives kind of your height and stuff. Now, were you pretty tall, as a freshman? Were you kind of maxed out your height, or did you still grow through your high school career?
Yeah, so I was 6'1" at 13 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Really that tall? Okay.
So I probably grew an inch through high school.
Yeah. Wow. I'm just curious, you don't have to answer this. Did you have big feet as a 7th or 8th grader?
Oh yeah. I was probably a size 11.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow.
At like 12 years old.
Oh, wow.
Probably lots of knee pain came with that being 6'1" at that age.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
I'm curious, you and I think your junior year, you went to the World Youth Championship in France. That's a big transition from Mansfield and coming from Azle. How did you get exposed to throwing on a big global perspective of being just a high school junior?
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole new ball game. And I don't think I would have ever known about it if it weren't for Laura. Laura's pretty much the person who took my career from being a good high school thrower to being a great high school thrower. And beyond. She knew about these things, and she really went out there and got me registered and everything. Like, she was active.
Wow.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just, so she just kind of took the ball and ran with it and stuff.
Yeah.
With your, wow. And your parents were like, we put the confidence and trust in your hands.
Yeah, we were clueless. We didn't know anything at all. We didn't know there were outside meets outside of high school. Nothing even that big either, especially at that age.
Now, did you do any type of summer track? Because we run a track club. Were you associated with any type of club in the summer? Did you work with her in the summer, kind of year round?
Yeah, there weren't any track leagues. I actually don't even know that there were any summer track teams in my area, especially with throwing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I worked with Laura quite often, all year round, mainly because once I started working with Laura, there were track meets all year round, and I didn't know that.
Oh, wow. Wow. So even during volleyball season, would you go out on a Sunday and throw with her?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Now, you said earlier you weren't very technical. Was she a person that instilled a lot of drills and stuff for you and made you do, 50 half turns or something like that before you, can move on to fulls?
Yes. I never really did drills before. It was always just warm up and throw. And she's the one that kind of got me doing all the drills, all different kinds of stuff. And I wasn't ever allowed. Some days we would only drill. Like, really? If she knew that, like, this is what we needed to work on, that's all we would do when we met up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, we haven't.
Stuff me to do it.
Well, I'm curious too. We haven't, and I know Discus, but what was your approach to shot put during those first couple of years of high school?
Oh man, we did. I learned the glide in 7th grade too.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. So I've always been a glider, and that pretty much I just over the years try to glide faster and get a little bit lower and just go from there and see what happened.
So she never tried to implement any type of rotational, during your freshman, sophomore year?
No, I don't think I even tried to play around with rotational till college, and I tried it a couple of times and it was awful.
So can we say you didn't really love the shot put? Like it wasn't.
Not really.
Yeah.
Laura did tell me I needed to love the shot put to be good at discus, and I think that was a trick.
Because you found out later in life that necessarily wasn't true.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So can you tell us, you go to that world championship. I'm curious, how was that experience like? Did you travel over there by yourself? Did she go with you? Did your mom go with you? Kind of how was that your first time on a big stage, being out of the state of Texas to throw?
It was really great. Honestly, we got to spend a lot of time together as a team.
Yeah.
We stayed in South Carolina for quite a while together before we went over, and built a lot of really good relationships on that team, even people I went to college with and stuff. And then there's some of the guys that were on the team that are in the NFL, and we still all like touch base occasionally. Yeah, like it was a really talented team. Todd Gurley was one of them. And then there was another guy who my mind's going blank right now. I have the worst name. Right. If I saw his name if I heard his name, I would know it. But Laura went, my mom went, my grandma and my cousin went. So I had a good support system there as well.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. So what was it like seeing other throwers in that environment that were just as good as you? I know, and I say that because you dominated here locally, and you go there and they're like just as good as you.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like a whole new world that I didn't know existed until I had that opportunity to do that. And I think it was really cool too to know that there are people out there with the same talent as well. Laura always said it's lonely at the top, which it makes sense. When you're here competing and there's not really a whole lot to compete with, you have to compete with yourself, and you have to learn to do that. But then when you realize that there are other people to compete with, whether you're competing with them once a year or not, that's the goal, is to be able to go over and beat those girls.
Wow. Did you, I'm sure with the English in the communication language barrier, it was difficult. Did you meet anybody over there that you are still friends with today or anything like that, or through in the Olympics?
Yeah. I met a girl from Australia. Her name's Keisha. And we still touch base occasionally. And then, like I said, some of the people on the US team, I went to college with some of them. One of the girls was my college roommate.
Oh, wow.
Jennifer Madu. Yeah, we were on that team together.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, it's really cool just to know. I wish I had like a list of everybody on that team.
Yeah.
There are quite a few people who have gone to the Olympics or the NFL or other things too. Like just so much talent on that team when we were all like 14, 15, 16.
Yeah.
I may be jumping ahead of this question. So kind of at that point where you got a taste of throwing against people who were, more challenging, more your caliber, is that where you thought, okay, I want to keep doing this. This is something I want to pursue even at that young age?
Yeah. So I knew I loved it, but for some reason at this point, I still didn't think I was good enough for it.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll tell this story. It wasn't until I broke the national record, actually, until I started to believe in myself that I could go somewhere. And
really,
I don't know. Looking back at it, I'm crazy. I have no idea why. I was throwing numbers as a super young age. And I have no idea why I ever felt like that. But I got to, the point where I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I am good. I'm crazy.
Do you think it was because your family, maybe, because you were naive to what the big realm of throwing world was, or it was just you were kind of in your box and you were focused on your coach coaching you and you were, working to get better?
Yeah, I just think, I really don't know. It's just weird looking back at it. I think just within that time, I didn't really understand the future of throwing or my future in throwing as well. So it just didn't really make a whole lot of sense. Nobody really around you did throwing, or around me did throwing. So I didn't really think much about it.
And you can look back and it doesn't seem that long ago, but we didn't have as much social media out there, and you didn't have, all this to look and compare and see. So that kind of, makes a difference, because you don't see where you're at with, people posting stuff constantly.
So after you get back from France and all that stuff, and you're going into your, your junior year, you kind of, you go to the World Junior Championships again in Spain and all that. Are you starting to think about, I want to throw in college, and are you starting to get interest in people contacting you or your parents about, hey, come into this university and throw for me?
The Texas Track and Field Coaches Association. Coaches education through our annual winter clinic, the state's #1 track and field clinic. Texas Track and Field promotion. Our postseason Meet of Champions. Lobbying efforts with the state's governing bodies. The Texas Track and Field Hall of Fame. If it involves Texas Track and Field, we're at the forefront. Join our mission in continuing to make Texas Track and Field the nation's best.
I think it was actually volleyball junior year when I started to get a lot of interest, because I don't think track could contact anybody until senior year. I don't know if it's different now. I haven't really kept up with all of that.
Okay.
But I started to, and that's when I really started to think about it, because I was really debating on whether I wanted to do volleyball or track, or if I wanted to try both. So yeah, it did really start to happen. And that's when I was like, oh, well, I guess I could probably do this. And I would look at my numbers and kind of compare them to college throwers and stuff. And as a junior, I was right there with a lot of college throwers.
Wow. So was there a part of you that was like, I'm going to go do volleyball and not throw?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay.
It was a package deal.
It was a package deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what drew you, because you're in a team sport versus an individual sport, basically throwing behind Legacy High School, by yourself. What drew you to both?
I think just that they're so different. When you're, and it's kind of weird, honestly, when you're in a team sport, it feels sometimes less of a team than it does when you're in an individual sport, when you have a lot more support system. Because if you think about it, sometimes in a team sport, it's a lot about yourself, versus in the individual sport, you have your teammates and stuff cheering for you, because you're not necessarily competing against each other unless you're in the same event.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So, I love volleyball. I love the competitiveness of it. And then I got to let my power out and stuff when I hit the ball. But I love discus too, because of the fact that it's not technically a team sport, but it feels more of a team, of a family kind of deal.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I never really looked at it. That's a really good answer. Cool. We're writing that down.
This may be, the little sound bite that we give.
Yeah, exactly. That is true. Yeah, that might be definitely a sound bite.
That's good
So,
stuff.
all right. So you having a successful junior year. I think you went state and shot in disc your senior year or junior year.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. You threw 166.8 in discus, and I think 46.11 in the shot put. You won Texas relays. You won the regionals. Oh, you won 5A with a throw of 161. So I'm reading this off your site and all that type of stuff.
No, he has this all memorized.
I do, yeah. Well, you have so much. You have so much. I don't want to miss anything. So I want to make sure that we get the numbers right. We do you justice. So let's talk about that senior year. You're coming in, you're a senior, you're kind of the big dog on campus, but also in the big global aspect of throwing, you're out there. Kind of walk us through your senior year and kind of what was your mindset of going in and how you were looking and approaching throwing.
I kind of at this point I really understood that it was me against myself. And I always wanted to go into track meets with a goal, and usually the goal was a personal record. At some point in my senior season, it became 200. I wanted to hit 200 so bad.
Okay.
It sadly never happened in high school. I got really close to it. But I think really chasing that helped, because I think it's easy when you're so far apart from the rest of the competition to kind of settle where you're at, because you're already so much better that, oh, well, it's good enough. I'm gonna win anyways, kind of deal,
I could have a bad throw and still
Yeah.
win. Yeah.
Mhm.
And we probably skipped over this. Do you remember like the first time you really started throwing far, when you were getting the 180s and the 175s, and you were like, oh my God, did I just really do that? Did it ever dawn on you?
Well, the biggest time that happened, and 160 is a huge throw. I was throwing
Yeah.
160 my junior year. But going into Texas Relays my senior year, I was still pretty much in that 160, 170 range. And I think the meet record was 167 or 176, something like that. One of those numbers.
Mhm.
And I was like, that's my goal. I want to go into this meet. I want to break the meet record. And then that's when I broke the national record for the first time. And I think that's the first time where I was like, whoa, that was a good throw. Not thinking it was as good as it was. I thought maybe high 70s, 180.
Yeah.
And then when they announced the throw, I was like, whoa, I kind of blacked out a little bit. And then that's really when I was like, and it's crazy because I've had those 20 to 30 foot jumps too, pretty much each year.
Yeah.
And that was just another jump. But for some reason, that one was so much like I could actually feel that. And I feel like that was because like the technique finally started to join in with the natural ability and the strength I had.
Wow. Now, was Ed Berry there with you when that happened?
Yes.
Do you remember, was he just excited? What was his reaction that day? Do you remember?
Yeah, I hardly remember. I do know that one of my college teammates, I think I was already committed to A&M at the moment.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And he was there videoing, and all I remember the video, and he's, oh my God, Shelbi, oh my God. And I ran over and hugged my teammate, and I think I hugged my mom, and then I hugged my coach, and then we walk out there to the mark and take a picture together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome.
So going into that meet, did you feel like you were on the verge of something great, with your preparation and your practice and stuff?
I didn't think that great. I knew the meet record was easily accessible with how I felt and how I've been throwing. And so that's why, because the meet record was further than I've ever thrown before too. So that's why I was going for that. And then I hit everything perfect, and it was really like something clicked, because even after that throw, I was really consistent in the 190s.
Yeah, with everything clicking and stuff. So just a little backtrack. So you said you've already signed with A&M, and we were going to get into this, but we can go and get into it now. Besides A&M, what other schools were you looking at, and what other schools did you visit? Do you remember?
Yeah. So I started getting recruited for volleyball junior year, and it started out low and with smaller schools. So I went to they're the Aggies in New Mexico State.
New Mexico State.
Yeah. So I went out there. I went to UNT and some smaller D1 schools. And then I kind of held off just because I wasn't sure. I didn't know if I wanted to go further away from home or not. And then I got a random call from my coach one day and was like, have you committed? Because I think I was about to commit to UNT. And I don't know if I've ever told them this. So if they hear this and get mad at me, I'm really sorry.
Shh.
I was about to call and commit to UNT. And my coach had called me and was like, have you committed yet? Please tell me you haven't. And it would be a verbal commitment. But she was like, I have A&M on the phone, Tech on the phone, like everyone just randomly calling me and emailing me. I don't know what they saw or what. And so all these bigger D1 colleges, I guess, heard my name or saw something. I have no idea. Still yet to have any idea how this happened. But then all these bigger schools started to contact my coach and me and send me letters and stuff. And so it really came down. I visited a few schools, and then it really came down to Texas Tech and Texas A&M. And I chose Texas A&M because when I visited, it just felt like family, felt like somewhere I'd really enjoy. It was also a little bit closer to home, and I'm a family person, kind of a homebody too. So I felt like 3.5 hours was a little bit better than 5 to 6 hours.
Oh, wow.
So was Tech going to also be volleyball and track too? Were they both doing?
Yeah. So that was kind of a, it's both or none kind of deal. Cause I had places that were on the verge of, they wanted me for volleyball and they were thinking about letting me do track. And I was like, well, if you're not going to let me do track, then I'm not going there. Like there's no ifs. I don't want to go there that bad.
Yeah.
I didn't really have my mindset on a school. So it kind of made recruiting pretty easy. Like they couldn't force me into anything because they had no leverage.
I'm sure. I have to ask this question because I love him to death and he's a good buddy of mine. So do you remember the first time you talked to Chico on the phone?
I don't know, honestly, that I ever did talk to Chico on the phone.
Oh, really?
Ever talked to Chico in person, still to this day.
So how was okay then, all right, we're skipping along. What was your first impression of Chico then?
Not really what I expected. A couple of the throwers had kind of tried to prep me. And then I do remember asking after I talked to him the first time, I was like, does it get easier to understand him? And they said yes. And of course it did. Oh, I love Chico to death. He is great.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're big fans of Chico and we support him all the time.
Yeah, we talked to a ton of people who have thrown under him. So
oh yeah, he is. Yeah,
he's like a legend.
He is very much a legend. So let's bring it back to your senior year. We kind of skipped over that a little bit. Your Gatorade National track and field athlete, track and field news, all the accolades anybody could ever get would most of the time go to a sprinter. And I believe at the time you were the first thrower to kind of get all the number one votes and all that. What was that experience like? And do you remember kind of how they notified you of those accomplishments?
I think a lot of them were usually by phone call or email. Okay. The biggest one was the Gatorade Award when they tricked me into just a regular interview, and then Emmett Smith comes and taps on my shoulder.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was there and he presented my trophy to me.
Oh, wow! At the high school?
It was at a hotel. It was all really weird. We were at a hotel. I don't even remember who this interview was with. I think they said there was some magazine. I was like, okay, yeah. And I assume my mom was in on it, or I'm not sure. Yeah. But yeah. And they're like, just kidding. This is an interview.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Deceptive people. So we got to talk about the record, the 198. But first too, we haven't talked about kind of how were your mindset in meets? Were you a grunt? Were you talking to yourself? Did you watch your other throwers compete? Did you talk all the time? Kind of how was your approach in the competition?
So I'm pretty shy until you really get to know me. And I'm pretty intimidated too. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Especially as a high schooler.
Yeah, of course.
I was really quiet. I would listen to music. I would stay in my zone. When it came to actually warming up, I never watched anybody else throw. I learn a lot off of visual. So I felt like anytime I would see anybody else throw, I would automatically pick up on something they were doing, whether good or bad. Yeah. But it always messed me up. So I never, ever watch somebody throw, even in the warm-up line when you're normally watching the person in front of you and then you're like, okay, they're done. I walk in. I just waited till they pass by me and then I walk in.
Really?
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad plan.
That is
because so many high school kids are very, I guess, adaptable, moldable, or we lost you. There you are. They're like, oh, she just threw further than I do. I'm going to do what she does.
Yeah.
So that's actually not.
Now, was that something Laura implemented you in your mental approach?
I think it was more of my mom. I'm not sure. My mom has always taught me that we don't have friends on the court kind of deal.
Yeah.
I always played sports against my cousins, and it was always easy to kind of, lollygag around when you're on the same court or field as your cousin. And so from a young age, I got pretty serious in sports. And anytime I stepped on the field, or I guess in the ring or in the area, it was just game mode. So I didn't really care what anybody else was doing other than what I did. And whether they were going to throw further than me or not, it was out of my control. So there's any reason for me to worry about anything they were doing.
Yeah. That's that's great. So you just kind of kept in your own little world. Did Laura help you in your mental approach too, of kind of dealing with being so young and throwing far during those 4 years?
Yeah, I mentioned it before. She's the one that kind of told me that it's lonely at the top.
Yeah.
And it kind of is, because there's this, I don't know, it's weird when you're better than everyone else, and I'm not trying to be super arrogant when I say this, but when you're better than everybody else, no one wants to be your friend.
Yeah.
And it's weird. It's changed a lot now that you're older.
Yeah.
Because to support you, but when you're younger, it is like that. The kids don't want or are scared to talk to you or something. I'm not sure what it is, but it's just different.
So before we jump into your college or where we're going, so you had Laura and then you had Coach Barry in high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did that relationship work? Because Laura was had coached you from the beginning all the way through, and then you have your high school coach coaching you. Did he kind of let her take over? How did they work together to make you be so successful?
Well, they were actually very similar. And then I mentioned before how Laura knew when she couldn't coach me anymore.
Yeah.
That I then found, we actually reached out to Michael Carter, Michelle Carter's, to see if he could help me or if he knew anybody that could. And he was too busy with his daughters at the time that he sent me to Adam Setliff. So Adam Setliff I think he's a 2-time Olympian, if I'm not wrong. And he was in the Dallas area. So that's my senior year, right before the national record, is when I started working with Adam. And I just listened to an interview he did not too long ago, saying how he started working with me. Yeah. And he thought I was good enough. He doesn't want to touch my technique or anything. And he was like, okay, well, after seeing her throw, I have to change this one thing. And then going into Texas Relays like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
And he's like, I messed everything up. She's going to throw terribly. She's going to hate me. And I didn't know this at the time, but right after I threw the national record, he had a buddy there, and his buddy called him and told him right when it happened that I broke the national record. And he told him that he was terrified that he just messed everything up. But nonetheless, it just made me take another 30-foot jump.
So with all these, like Adam Setliff and all coaching you, Coach Barry was cool with all that, right? He was like, all right, you do.
Well, I think he was cool with that too, because he really helped a lot as well. Like,
okay, good.
He was definitely, he was hands-on. He knew what he was talking about. He understood everything that the other coaches were telling me to do as well. So it all meshed really well. Good. But he also understood that, oh goodness.
That's all right.
He also understood that there were things that he couldn't see that other people could.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So what was your first impression of meeting Adam Setliff and him instructing you? Because Adam's a good friend of ours as well, and I'm sure that was an interesting meeting.
No, Adam scared me a little bit.
Yeah, he's intimidating.
Yeah, and he's very straightforward too.
Yes.
So as a girl, it was different because I've never had anybody really be that straightforward. They're always, they're like, oh, we'll do this. And he's like, why are you doing that? That's stupid. That's not what you're supposed to do. Do this, like, do it just like this, which worked out because I like to be coached that way. And I'm very coachable. And so I think we worked really well as a team.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And you're the one thing I can really see in you is you're maybe kind of go with the flow, because to be as talented as you are, you've had a lot of influences in your life to really kind of carry you down this path of success, right?
Yeah.
From Coach Moore, from from Coach Moore to Coach Barry to Laura to Adam to even getting to Chico.
Yeah.
Right. No, I've been very lucky when it comes to having the coaches in my life that I have. Not only, are they understanding that, I'm done, I can't do anything else for you, but they didn't just drop me. They helped me get to where or with who I needed to be with next, and then continued to support me as well. And I think that really helped too, in trusting everyone. I think it's, I am pretty laid back, but I also had to have the trust in all these coaches in order to listen to them too. And I mean, they all had at the time, they had their credentials to be able to coach me. So.
And I applaud you for that, because to be as talented as you were at such an early age, you could have been hard-headed and difficult and not been like, I'm not going to do that because I've already thrown farther than you threw in college, female wise. So I'm not going to listen to you. Mm-hmm. I applaud you for being open-minded and always listening to an external, voice from outside coming into your box to take that and actually improve. That's an attribute to you, because people, when you're famous and at an early age, like we hear stories of, TV stars and all that, you're pulled in off different directions, and that can be detrimental. Yeah. But for you, I don't know what it was about you, just maybe that laid back, approach, the groundedness that your family instilled, that you were able to kind of take that and still move forward with that.
Yeah, a lot of it had to do with, my mom was a single mom. My dad was involved, but not super involved, especially with my sports. And he or she, picked up extra jobs to pay for travel, to pay for my equipment and stuff. And so a lot of it came from not wanting to let her down. And so I wanted to be the best I could, for the fact that she was working as hard as she could to make sure I could follow my dreams.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Wow. So let's talk about that day that you throw that 198. Did you? So was it, because at this time you had 10 throws that were like already over 190. Mm-hmm. You were just like getting to that close to 200. Yeah. Was what was clicking? Do you remember? Was there like a technical clue that was clicking for you to be able to get those improvements?
I think it was mainly timing out of the back, and you can slightly tell a difference when you look back at film. I say getting off the left, I would get off the left sooner. If you look back at, freshman, sophomore videos, I would stay on that left foot forever, for days. Yeah. And so I think that was really the biggest thing, technical timing wise, that helped me with my throwing. Because my finish has not changed much since I was like 13. So
yeah. So you were already the national record holder at the time, and you continue to push the envelope. Now, was there talk at this time of hitting the standard for the Olympic trials and you making the Olympic team and all that?
Yeah, I believe when I broke the record the first time is when I made the B standard for the trials. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'd already made it in, and I was going to go compete. It would have been a crazy experience. And then when I broke it, again, or maybe it was the 198, I'm not sure what the standard was at the moment, but then I made it to the A qualifiers, and so that's kind of when it became reality that I actually have kind of a chance at making this team. Like, I would have to get another PR at trials, because I didn't have another chance before then to make the team. but there was still really good possibility, especially with how my season had been going already.
Yeah.
And you're still in high school, right? You're
Or just
finishing
right
your senior year.
Yeah,
when all
finishing
this-
my
okay.
senior year, I was 17.
Right.
Wow. So what was that?
Yeah, it's like,
Where was that at? Where was the
Olympics.
trials at? Was it in Eugene?
Yeah, I was in Eugene.
Wow. What was that experience like going up there? You're 17 years old and you're throwing against some of the people that have already been in the Olympics. And I think Susie Powell was in this, right? In 20.
Yeah, Susie Powell, Stephanie Brown Trafton.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, some big throwers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there you are, 17 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I actually, this is so embarrassing, and I'm sure she already knows the story, but Stephanie got my number somehow, and she texted me and was like, hey, let's do coffee or dinner or something soon before we all leave. And I was like, I'm sorry, who is this? And then she sent me, she said her name and everything. I'm like, sorry, who is this? And she sent me a picture of it saying like 2008 Olympic gold medalist. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I'm so sorry. I should have known. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But when you're 17, you still
Yeah.
live in your own little world. It's just,
And I've always been, I don't like to pay a lot of attention to other people. Like when it comes to being in my same sport, because I feel like it's just a distraction. Now it's completely different because I want to support everybody as well. But then I was just so focused on what I was doing at the time that I had no idea who. I knew these were like really talented girls or women, and I don't know. I just wasn't paying attention.
Well, and 5 years before that, you were what, 12? So it's not like, or that you're like, I wouldn't have known in 2008 what.
Yeah.
But you go there and you place fourth in the trials at 17 years old. What an amazing accomplishment.
I don't know. I still look back at it. It feels like a dream.
Well, and it hadn't been that long ago, for sure.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy. Like a lot of people don't, I mean, the trials are hard to get into. A lot of people don't have the opportunity to make it into trials, and to make it in at 17. I mean, then I was so close to making the team. I would have been the youngest to make the Team USA. And then in 16, the hurdler, I know her name.
Oh,
She was
Sydney McLaughlin.
Yeah, Sydney. Yeah, she made the team and became the youngest. But it would have been cool, I was this close. I could have been that first one.
Yeah. I'm curious because we haven't talked about this. Because usually their first throw for some people is kind of the best one. Were you a good thrower in the beginning, or it took you a couple throws to kind of get loose, to pop the big one in the finals? I'm curious.
So all of my coaches have hated this, but they've learned to accept it. I am a scratch, winning throw type of girl.
Really? Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
I work really well under pressure, but all the big meets I've been a part of has always been like scratch, throw to get into final, and then get in the final. It'll be scratch, and my winning throw is my last throw.
Oh, I would have more gray hair.
Yeah, my coaches never liked it.
And
Wow.
was that kind of something you just kind of felt comfortable with in that approach? I'm just curious.
I mean, I never scratched on purpose.
Yeah, I got you.
Asking.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I'm just gonna scratch them on purpose then.
Right. No, I don't. It could be nerves. I still get super nervous before every single track meet, whether it's a super tiny one or a huge one. I treat them all the same, and I still get really nervous. And it could be nerves and just everything's out of whack. And then I finally like, okay, get it together. You have to throw this in order to win. So I think I would finally just like really snap into it or snap out of it per se, and get focused in and understand like it's either now or never.
Wow. So did you watch the Olympics that year in 2012 and watch, the finals? And did you think to yourself that I was almost there? Do you remember?
I'm pretty sure I watched. I don't know why I watched. but I was still, I was 17 and kind of just want to enjoy summer.
Yeah.
About to go off to college.
Well, yeah. Well, 2 months later, you about to go to A&M.
Yeah, I was gonna say, actually August 7th is when I moved into A&M. So,
and getting ready for volleyball. So
yeah.
Kind of had to transition your brain. I was almost Olympian. Now I got to go play college volleyball.
So let's set that up. So you do what you did in Olympic trials, and now you're a freshman, at Texas A&M. Woo! So
you didn't go to A&M.
I know I can do that.
Isn't it illegal to do that if you didn't actually go there?
So
breaking some kind of rule somewhere. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to our first episode of Shelbi. Stay tuned next week. We'll talk a little bit more about her college career at A&M and what she's hoping to look to do here in the future. So big shout out to our sponsors. We want to thank TTFCA, Texas Track and Field Coaches Association. Go to ttfca.org for your latest news in track and field. Check them out. Got so much great information on there. Portathrows.com. Use code TalkingThrows10 to get 10% off. Porta Circle, making throwing accessible. Go to porta-circle.com to get you a Porta Circle, since we're getting in the fall and into the winter here pretty soon. If you're in the Austin area, Ready Up Athletic Development, remember, go to readyupad.com. Check them out. Follow them on Instagram or Facebook.
Hello, Talking Throws Texas podcasters. I'm Bruce Caldwell. I'm here today to introduce the FiberSport Discus. Yes, many of you thought I only made great vaulting poles. I have been bringing quality discuses to the throwers' hands for over 40 years. First as Cantabrian USA representative, then for the past 10 years as the Nelco discus distributor. I introduced the yellow-plated discus for the plastic's best durability. If your FiberSport discus breaks, we replace it. Our studies have reached into the science of using a wind tunnel and adding microchips to the discus to find the spin, the gravity, the flight stability of the discus. We have found it's not about rim weight anymore. It's more about creating a balanced stability to allow the discus to fly and surf the wind. Our new FiberSport discus is made to be selected to fit your needs, no matter the weather, no matter the conditions. Check out our discus selection guide at fibersportdiscus.com and find a dealer in your area that sells our fine product. Thank you, Jason and Janelle, for allowing me to talk with your listeners on Talk and Throws Texas Style.
And make sure that you guys are going to the throwingfactory.com website and checking us out if you're needing any type of lessons, whether they're online or in person. We've got days of the week right now that Jason and I are both doing some lessons, so we'd love to have you if you have a young aspiring thrower or someone who's just looking to get better as they're getting into their high school season. Make sure you check us out. Also, watch this on YouTube. Give us a like. Give us some feedback on YouTube or on Apple Podcasts or wherever that you listen to your podcast. Also on our website, we've got Talk and Throws podcast shirts. We got Thrower Mom shirts. We got a cool Hammer shirt. We've got some Spinning is Cheating, a quote by Randy Matson shirt. So if you're just looking for some cool throwing shirts, go check those out. We've got quite a few of those out there that you guys can see. So check us out next week, and we will listen to Shelbi Vaughn-Walley talk about her college career and what she's looking to do in the future. Thanks.